Hello and welcome to Move and Restore. So we're going to get straight into it today. The props that you need for the restorative section of the practice is at least 3 blankets, if not 4. So you need 3 to set yourself up. The fourth, always lovely to have a spare one to put over you. So make sure as well that you have your socks, your sweatshirts, just everything close by. It's certainly a drizzly day here in Dublin. So you'll cool down very fast. It's much harder to warm back up again, so make sure you stay warm. In this practice, we are going to work with the hip flexors and the glutes. So actually, another article to have a look at if you're interested. I've done another sequence called remote working home flow. And this is about this kind of idea, again, of counteracting a lot of the amount of sitting that we're doing in our day. So have a look at that one as well. That so far has not got a practice tutorial, but I probably will be filming it at some stage. So hip flexors being these muscles here that when they contract, flex the hip. So as you can well imagine, when we're sitting down at our desk all day, they're shortening. So what we're going to work on today is lengthening them out a little bit. It's kind of hard to find it because, it means going past upright, and usually upright kind of feels about the right position for it. But we're going to try and go past upright. And how we do that is we squeeze into the back of our glutes there. So these are the muscles that contract this part of the body and bring us into back flexion. So squeezing the glutes and stretching the front of the body there. So let's get straight into it. We've got half an hour of movement and then we're going to come into our restorative. So coming on to all fours there when you're ready. And just patting out your hands and your knees and your feet there, making sure you find your nice connection to your mat. Spread your fingertips nice and wide now. Just get ready to settle into your practice. Let's take a few rounds of cat-cow and start to establish our link with the breath there now. So remembering your inhale is where the belly drops down towards the ground. The gaze comes forward, length in the back of the neck there as we flex the neck, but then a little bit, I talked about it previously, a slight chin tuck so that we don't come into too much flexion of the neck. And then exhale, lifting the spine up towards the ceiling, finding little bits of space between the vertebrae. Press into your hands, your knees, and the tops of your feet there. And it's almost like you're draping yourself over like an imaginary bar there. And then flowing through a few rounds of cat-cow with your breath, I'll just continue to give you extra alignment cues in the 2 different positions, but it doesn't matter, you flow with your own breath. So inhaling, when you're inhaling, you're drawing your shoulders back towards your hips there. Now here we are in this forward tilt of the pelvis. So here the hip flexors are flexed, and then in this position, they're lengthening a little bit. And then just noticing what's happening in these 2 areas as they tilt. Maybe even you get a slight bit of a grip, or not gripping, it's the wrong word, a little bit of activity in the back of the glutes there as we use them to tilt the pelvis back and then forward. So again, just like even at the very start of your practice, that's why I usually let you know what we're working with so that you can really bring your focus to that attention in all the poses that we're building up towards this area. So it's like we're building little pathways to the area that we're working with today. Okay, now let's just come up to kneeling. I just want to give you a little bit more help to find this area. So in kneeling, if you need a blanket, pop them under your knees. I've got a pretty thick sticky mat underneath me. So just your knees are hip distance apart here, toes untucked. So have a sense of squeezing into the back of the hips, even bring your hands onto your glutes there to see that you can squeeze them. And then notice that that helps you tilt the pelvis back. So actually put a hand on each the front and the back of your pelvis, tilt it forward and notice the hip flexors tightening there, and then tilt it back. Notice the hip flexors lengthening, the glutes squeezing. So that's what we're looking for today. Now, a little bit easier way to find it is if you step your right leg forward, and we'll do it on both sides. So coming up into kind of a low lunge. Now we're not dipping the pelvis forward here. We're staying in a very upright position. But for some reason, it might have something to do with the inner groin there. We start to feel a lot more of a lovely stretch through this hip flexor when one leg is forward. So press into that front leg and do the same thing. Place hand front of the hip, back of the hip. Lift that hip bone. So find your hip bone, even poke it there with your finger and have a sense of lifting it up and back until you feel just a gentle stretch here. So not looking for anything too intense. We're looking to really squeeze into the back of that glute there and feel an opening through the front here. And you'll see my hip there. It's not tilting back much, really. It's more of a kind of direction of backwards, but I'm feeling a lovely stretch through the front of the hip flexor here, which is what we're looking for when we've been sitting all day. Well, I know it's the start of the morning, but you know, we have remnants of too much sitting in these muscles. Okay, we'll do the same thing. Actually, no, one more thing I want you to have a look at is to reach the left arm fingertips up. Place your right hand on the back of that right hip or the back of the thigh and reach that left fingertips to the back right corner of your mat here. This is one we're going to do when we're in our flow, and just shows you an extra little bit of a stretch. Now, again, don't let the pelvis tip down towards the ground. Press into that right foot and continue to tip back with the pelvis. It's just the idea of extending that stretch all the way up. And it's like you're kind of bowing from the heel all the way to the fingertips to find more stretch. And then coming back to the lunging position, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So bringing the right knee down on the ground, using your left hand or right hand to help you. Right knee down, left foot up. So always make sure that your feet are on your train tracks. Any kind of, if any closer to the center, the balance is much, much trickier. It's like you're on a tightrope. So as wide on your mat as you need to feel stable, particularly in this cast. We're not really working on stability muscles. We're working with very particular muscles. So I'm going to turn around so that you can see my hips here. So same thing, we are looking for, place the hand on the front of the hip and the back of the hip. The hips are not dipping down, they're dipping back. Press into that front foot, the left foot, to help you push back. And then lift that pelvis. So let's do our tip again. So tip it forward. Tip the entire pelvic bowl forward with your hand in your back and your hand in your front. And then tip it back. Point and press at that hip bone and lift it up and back. Again, you'll see I'm not really tipping very far back. It's more of an actional thing, but I am getting a lovely stretch through the front of that hip flexor there. And you can also feel the squeeze into the back of that hip. The more you squeeze into the back of that glute, the more it'll help open up the front of that glute there, or the front of that hip flexor. Reach the right arm up now. And then place the left hand either on the lower back or on the lower thigh or on the upper thigh of that right leg. Reach the right fingertips now to the back left corner of your mat. Notice what this adds to the pose when we bring the whole shape into a bow. So it's like we are stretching from the fingertips to the toes and adding little bits of a pull, even though pull doesn't sound like a right word, to the area that we are stretching. It's like, you know, kind of when we bring a stretch into the either end of the whole arc, it helps to find the stretch. Okay, and then just coming back up, I'm going to come on to all fours now. And we're going to do a little bit of work from all fours here now. So find your nice tabletop position, natural curves of your back. Step your right hand just kind of to the, or sorry, left hand, just kind of off to the left corner of your mat. That's just for balance, okay? So it's kind of optional. And then lift your right leg up. So you're not looking for it to be any higher. If you look at my back there, it goes into a back bend. We're not looking for back bends today at all, neutral spine. So just have your thigh at hip height. And we're just going to pulse that right foot up towards the ceiling. Just breathing any way that suits you. We're not going to add the breath into it quite yet. So just pulsing the foot up towards the ceiling. Let's do it for 3, for 2, and for 1. And then we're going to externally rotate the leg. And it's not particularly fire hydrant, so we're not coming into this pose. If the leg is kind of staying in line with the hip there, and we're just rotating the upper, or it's like we're windshield wiping the calf. So I'll just do it from the side so you can see where I'm going. My leg isn't particularly moving out to the side. It's just the calf that's moving. But you can just see that my whole hip is rotating in the joint there. And again, that's working these muscles of the glute. Okay, so hopefully you've got that action. Third action is we're just going to lengthen the leg out straight and then bring it out to the right-hand side. You can either bring it down to the ground if hovering it is just a little bit too much on your hip, or just have it hovered off the ground. Okay, and they are our three moves. We'll do the same on the left side before we bring it into a flow. So actually bring the right hand now to the right top corner of your mat, just for balance, and then lift the left leg up. Let's pulse through that left leg. So look at my spine there, it's nice and neutral, and just checking to make sure that you haven't lifted the leg too high. It's at most, it's at hip height. And it's okay if it's a little bit lower than that too. We're just really squeezing into the back of that hip there. Have a little go into you, just make sure that your hips are level as well. And just pulsing up towards the ceiling for 3, for 2, and 1. And then the same thing, we're keeping the leg extended out from the hip, and we're just windshield wiping the leg to the right-hand side. Showing it from the back. We're just windshield wiping it to the side. And that is giving us external hip rotation, which kind of feels quite lovely, quite soothing on the hip joint. And then our third action is that we're going to lengthen the leg out and then just bring the right leg or the left leg out to the left side. Option to keep it hovered for a little bit more action on the hip, or bring it down to the ground. Either option, you're going to really squeeze into the hip there. Okay, and then lengthen the leg away again and come back to tabletop position. Okay, so we're going to flow through that with the breath, and we're going to add on a little bit of a side stretch as well, and holding on to the leg, or not holding on to the leg, reaching towards the leg. So I'll talk you through it, so you don't need to worry about remembering the poses. I'll talk you in and out of it, and I will cue the breath as well. And if at any stage you get a little bit confused, just either come back to all fours and continue to follow where I am, or take a little break and pick us up wherever we are. Okay, so from tabletop position, we're going to start on the right side. Step that left hand to the left side of your mat, just a little bit for balance. Lift that right leg up on an inhale, pulse the foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, let's do that pivot where literally the foot is windscreen wiping to the left. Inhale it back up to center, and exhale, step that foot off to the right side of your mat, hovering or tapping the ground. Inhale back up to our pulse, and then exhale, bringing it down. Adding on a little bit now. Inhale, we're going to pivot the right foot off to the right side of our mat. Reach the left leg away from you, reach the right arm up, press into the ground now. And then exhale, you're going to lift that right or left foot and reach your hand. So I'll continue breathing. I'm going to explain this one a little bit. So your foot is pivoted off. You're literally just reaching your hand towards your foot, but you're not holding on to the foot. So this again is about that glute. So don't worry about coming into a deep back bend here. It's more about the sensation of lifting with that hip joint there. Exhaling for one breath into the stretch, and then coming down to all fours again. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the left side there. Place the right hand just to the right corner of your mat. Inhale, lift the left leg this time, press your foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, windshield wipe just the calf towards the right side. Inhale to press up towards the ceiling again. Exhale, reach the leg out to the left side, either hovering or touching the toe to the ground. Inhale, press the foot up towards the ceiling again, and then exhale back to all fours. Now we're going to add our little bit of a stretch towards the back. Inhale, reach the right leg away, reach the right arm up. And then exhale, just lifting that right leg, bending the knee, reach the hands towards the foot. Inhale to stretch them out again, and exhale down to all fours. Okay, we're going to flow through that one more time before we come into our next flow. Starting on the right side, so step the left hand just off to the top left of your mat. Inhale, lift the right leg up, press the foot up towards the ceiling. I'm going to try and slow it down a little bit. Exhale, pivot the calf towards the left-hand side, so rotation of the hip there. Inhale, press that right foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach the leg away to the right-hand side, hover or touch the ground. Inhale, come back to your pressing the foot up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, back down to all fours. Inhale, pivot that right foot out to the side, reach the left foot away, reach the right arm up. Exhale, lift the left leg, bend the knee, just reach the fingertips back. Don't worry about bringing it into a strong back bend. It's about really strengthening the glutes there. Exhale, reach them away again, or inhale, and exhale, back to all fours again. Right side now, or left side now, second side. So step that right hand just off to the top right corner of your mat. Let's try it a little bit slower this time as well, and really feel the sensations that we're building around here. I can certainly feel my glutes starting to work hard there. Inhale, left leg now, press the heel up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pivoting the foot down to the right side now. Feel that lovely external rotation of the hip. Inhale, foot up towards the ceiling again. Exhale, lengthen the leg and hover it to the left side now, or touching the foot to the ground if it's too much on the hip. Inhale, one more press up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, coming down to all fours. So you're going to see a view from the back of my stretch now. Inhale, pivot the left foot off to the side, reach the right foot away, right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, you can see my back here. I'm not really coming into a back bend. I'm just reaching towards my fingertips or towards my foot there. Inhale, stretch it all away, and then exhale, coming back to all fours again. Let's take a few rounds of cat-cow here. We are finished with that flow, so we're going to come into our next one. Few rounds of cat-cow, and actually what can also feel nice is you bring a little bit of a hip rotation into your cat-cow as well, rotating one direction and then rotating the other. Okay, I'm getting ready to move again now after your little bit of a break. So we are going to do a standing flow next, but we're going to take it through that flow and then come up to standing. So when I said we were finished with that flow, it's more that we're building on that flow. So you're not quite out of it yet. Okay, but you know what you're doing now. So left hand just to the left corner of your mat there now. Inhale, reach that right leg up, press the heel towards the ceiling. Exhale, pivot the left foot to the left, or right foot to the left side again. Inhale, reach the foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring that right leg off the right side of your mat. Squeeze into the back of that hip there. Use those muscles to lift that heavy leg. Foot to the ground or hovering. Inhale, press the foot up towards the ceiling again. Squeeze the back of the hip. Exhale, down to all fours again. Inhale, pivot that right foot off to the side. Lengthen the left leg away. Reach. Exhale, bend that left knee. Reach. Inhale, lengthen everything out again, and exhale, back to all fours. Adding on, so inhale, we're going to step that right leg just to the inside of the right hand there. Exhale, we're going to step the left leg forward and come into a forward fold. Good bend in your knees here. Inhale, pressing into your feet, reach your arms up high, and then exhale, hands down the midline in prayer position. Okay, so we're standing now, and what we're going to do is bring a little bit of this action that we've been building into the standing version. So adding onto it, because in standing, obviously, we have to use a lot more of the muscles, the entire body, to keep our balance. We're going to be kind of using it from chair position. So the basic flow is going to be hands in prayer position, chair. We're going to pour our weight into our left foot and we're going to reach our right leg away. So it's kind of like a bent leg warrior. And then bring the foot down and then left leg away. What I want you to look out for here is that the hips aren't opening, they're staying quite squared. So I'm not opening like this. I'm just kind of literally, and it doesn't matter how high you lift that leg. It's really just the action that we're looking for rather than this, perfect warrior 3. It's squeeze and then down. Squeeze and then down. We'll alternate between legs. And then we're going to step back and take some high lunges in our flow. Okay, starting at the top of your mat there. Inhale, reach your arms up high. And exhale, coming down into your chair pose, hands in prayer position at your heart. Pour all your weight into your left foot now. Inhale, lift the right leg up and just reach the right leg behind you. You might need to lean forward a little bit to counteract the balance. Exhale, bring that right leg down, pour all your weight into your right leg. Inhale, lift the left leg up, squeeze into the back of that left hip there. Exhale, left leg down. Keep the hips nice and low here. Inhale, press into left foot, reach right leg up and back. Exhale, bring the leg down, coming into our chair pose. Last time, inhale, left leg back, squeeze. And then you're just going to step that left leg back and find your lunge. Hands in prayer position at your heart. So even maybe press your hands into that front foot there, or front leg thigh there. Make sure your feet are nice and wide on your mat here now to make sure that by the time you bring yourself up into a lunge position, that you've got good balance there in your feet. Inhaling to reach your arms up high. So the next part of our flow is that we're going to bring that knee towards the ground any amount. It doesn't need to come all the way down. It certainly doesn't touch the ground. But if you're just here and this is where you get loads of action, that is absolutely fine as long as you're feeling this strength in the hip. You don't need to go to the full movement, whatever suits you. Okay, inhale, reach the arms up high. We're going to do it 3 times. Exhale, left knee down towards the ground. Inhale, back into high lunge, press through the left heel. Exhale, down towards the ground. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, down towards the ground. Inhale to lift. And exhale, hands either side the front foot and stepping it back to all fours. Okay, that's your flow. So let's do the left side now. Stepping the right hand to the right corner of your mat there. Getting ready to move through. We know what our all fours flow is now, so you're familiar with that. And we're going to add our standing bit in as well. Okay, we're going to inhale, lift that left leg up, press the heel up towards the ceiling. Exhale, windshield wipe, keeping the leg completely directly out of the hip. We're just windshield wiping the leg over to the right hand side. Inhale, press the foot up towards the ceiling again. Exhale, lengthen the leg out to the left. Option to bring it down to the ground as long as you squeeze into the back of that hip. Inhale, press the foot up towards the ceiling. And exhale, coming down to all fours again. You'll see the back view again of this pose where I'm holding onto the foot. So inhale, pivot the left foot now off to the side of your mat. Reach the right leg away, reach the right arm up. Exhale, reach the hand towards the foot. So just bending the knee, not particularly bringing it into a back bend. It's all about this hip here and lengthening out the hip flexor at the front. Inhale, reach and stretch away. Exhale, and back to all fours again. Inhale, we're going to step that left foot just to the inside of that left hand there. Really important for balance that we're nice and wide. And exhale, step that right leg forward and come into your nice bent knee forward fold. Let the arms drape. Inhale, press into your hands, reach the arms up high. And exhale, hands down the midline in prayer position. Okay, we're going to keep flowing now. We're going to take it into our chair pose with the leg lifts. Again, looking for that lovely lengthening through the front of the hip flexors and the squeeze at the back of the hip, there. Inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, hands in air position, prayer position even at your chest. Pour all your weight into your right foot. Inhale, lift your left leg or right leg up. Squeeze into the back of that right hip. Exhale, right leg comes down, pour weight into the right leg. Inhale, lift left leg up, squeeze into the back of the left hip. Inhale, chair pose, keep the hips nice and low here now. Inhale, right leg, press and squeeze. Exhale, bring right foot down. Inhale, left leg, squeeze to the back of that hip there. Last one, inhale, chair pose, hands at chest. Exhale, squeeze into the back of the right hip, stay here for a breath, and then exhale, step that right leg back now. So we're doing our flow with the left leg forward this time. Make sure that your legs are nice and wide on your mat. It can be wider than hip distance if your balance isn't with you today, but make sure that you're not on a tightrope. Inhale, reach the arms up high, and then exhale, bringing that right knee down towards the ground. Inhale, reaching, and then exhale, bending. Inhale to reach, and exhale to bend. Inhale to come back one more time. Exhale, hands either side of the front foot, and now step it down. Back to downward dog, bring the knees down and coming back to tabletop position. Okay, so getting ready to move again. Place the left hand to the left side of your mat there, just off a little bit. And we're going to take it in the right side now. So lifting the right leg up, press out through the hip. Squeeze, press that foot up towards the ceiling. Exhale, pivot, and the left foot or the right foot off to the right side of the mat. Inhale, squeeze up towards the ceiling again, and then exhale, reaching that right leg off to the side. Either the foot hovers or it taps the ground. Inhale, press the right foot up towards the ceiling again, and then exhale back to all fours. Inhale, pivot the right foot off to the side, reach the left leg away, reach the right arm up. Exhale, bending and reaching towards that left foot now. Inhale, right foot, my right and left mixed up, reach everything away, and then exhale, back to tabletop position. Inhale, step the right leg just to the inside of the right hand now, and exhale, step that left leg forward. Inhale, press into your feet, reach the arms up high, and exhale, we're going to come straight into our chair pose. We're going to just do left and right and continue on with our flow. Inhale, pour all your weight into your left foot, reach the right foot up, press the heel away. Exhale, place the right foot down. Inhale, lift the left foot up, press the heel away, balance. And then exhale, place that left foot down. So now we have the right foot forward. We're in our lunge. Inhale, reach the arms up high. And then exhale, hands down the midline in prayer position. So what we're going to do is take that lovely stretch to the left hand side or to the right top corner, back corner of your mat, because we took it on the other side. So we want to make sure we're equal through both sides. Inhale, reach the arms up high, straighten that front leg. Exhale, right hand comes to either the back or the left thigh of your leg there, and the right fingertips reach to the left corner of your mat. Sorry, lots of lefts and rights today. Inhale, straighten both legs. Then exhale, right hand to left thigh, fingertips to the right back of your mat. Inhale, lengthen, straighten both legs, press into the ground. Exhale, right hand, left thigh, fingertips, right back of your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hands either side of your front foot and step it back to downward dog. Okay, that's the full flow. We have one more side to do, and then we are ready for our restorative. Okay, so right hand comes to the top right corner of your mat for balance. Left leg lifts this time now. Inhale, one press up towards the ceiling. Exhale, let that right thigh rotate and the calf roll to the right hand side. Inhale, press it up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach that leg off to the side, hovering or tapping the ground. Inhale, press that foot up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, back to all fours again. Inhale, keep flowing. We're going to reach right leg away, right arm up towards the ceiling. Exhale, reach fingertips towards toes. Inhale, stretch everything away again. Exhale, coming back to all fours again. Inhale, we're going to step the left leg forward this time now. Exhale, step the right leg forward, folding down. Inhale, press into your feet, reach the arms up high. And exhale, coming straight into our chair pose now. Inhale, press into your right foot, lift the left leg, squeeze into the back of that hip. Exhale, bring the left foot down, squeeze into the back of the hip. On your next inhale, lift the right leg up, squeeze, and then exhale, step that foot back gently into your high lunge position. Make sure the legs are nice and wide on your mat now. Inhale, reach the arms up high. Now we're going to come into this twist again because this is what we were supposed to be doing on this round. I just added it in, a little bonus on the last day. So you know the flow now. So it's inhale, reach the arms up high, and then exhale, right hand, either to the back or the back of the right thigh, left hand, and reaching the right fingertips to the back left side of your mat. There's way too many lefts and rights in this sequence. Inhale, press into both feet, straighten the legs, reach the fingertips up. Exhale, left hand, right thigh, right fingertips, left corner of your mat. Last time, inhale, reach the arms up high. Exhale, left hand, right thigh, right fingertips to the back of your mat. Inhale, reaching. Exhaling, hands either side of the front mat. Step your left foot back now, come back to all fours and doing exactly what you feel like doing. So whether it's rotation through the spine, cat-cows, or even a child's pose, we are ready now to come down to our relaxation part of our practice. Okay, so actually maybe even a child's pose is nice here because we're starting now to stretch out this area. Maybe even take into a child's pose where you press your hands into the ground. So we're not stretching too much into the back of the hips immediately. We're kind of going to do it gently and easily. Okay, so let's try and get back to our breath now. Starting to calm the breath down. Lots of coordination in that sequence. Lots of flowing, lots of stability, and gently squeezing into the back of the hips. I hope you found a lovely stretch to the front of your hip flexors there as we worked deeply into the back of the hips. Okay, so let's get ready for our restorative. So have your 4 blankets close by to you there. And we're just going to come onto our back and settle into our practice in constructive rest. So constructive rest is where the feet are mat distance apart, the knees are tucked in or knocked in together. The palms are facing up towards the ceiling. And we're just starting to come into these energy efficient versions of yoga poses. So this is the part of our practice now where we give back. We have very graciously received all the muscle activity that we have asked of our body. And now, as a way to honor the amazing ability of our bodies and our coordination, we're going to give a little bit back, which often we don't give back as much as we take from our poor little physical bodies. And starting to really let the surface underneath you support you. Feel your mat coming up to receive you as you let the forces of gravity press you down into the mat. Can you really find those muscles that we've been working with, and just even mentally saying to them, you can relax now. Talking to the back of your hips there. Might be nice to even windshield wipe the legs from side to side. A little bit of stretching and mobility before we come into our nice static poses. And then the next time your legs drop to the right-hand side, follow it through with the upper body and find yourself in a seated position. So use that left hand to help you come up to seated. So for our first pose, you're going to take 2 blankets and you're going to bring them into a 4-fold. So 4-fold is exactly as it is. It is a blanket folded in 4. Lay one of them out on the ground. Get your second blanket into a perfect 4-fold and lay that exactly out on top. Now, it is always worth the time smoothing out all the creases of your blanket, making sure that nothing is going to poke into when you press your weight on it. So you have your blankets in the short end towards you, and you're going to roll the blankets up. Into a nice firm roll there. Place that roll in the center of your mat there. You're going to grab one of your other blankets and you're going to fold it probably in 2 and pop it at the top of your mat there. Or not in 2, sorry, a square fold, folded in 2. So you've made a little pillow out of your blanket. Pop that at the top of your mat where your head is going to be. So where we want our rolled blanket to be is right at our hip crease there. We're going to lie on our fronts. So what we're doing is we are gently opening up the back body there that we have been so actively squeezing into. So we're counterposing all the hard work that you've done. So even maybe holding the blanket at that point, because a lot of people find they think the hips are up here where the bone is, but your hip flexor, or the hip where we want this to be, is exactly kind of the front of where the joint is. So it's this bit where the crease is. So just coming down to lie on top of your rolled blanket. Bring your arms into Sphinx pose just to find the position of your head. So you have a few different options for your head here. To come down a tiny bit. The best way, or there's no best, it's like, but the kind of most neutral way for the spine is to have your rolled blanket or your folded blanket at the top of your mat and just bringing your forehead, just your forehead, onto the blanket. And that way the spine is completely neutral. Now, sometimes this doesn't suit people and it just doesn't feel particularly nice. They can feel a bit claustrophobic when their head is completely facing towards the ground. Now, your entire face is not touching your mat. Your blanket is thick enough so that it's lifting your head up and you have room to breathe. But if you don't like this, you can just unfold your blanket just a fraction and then lie on your right side. And maybe halfway through the pose, I will try and remember to tell you to adjust and flip over to the opposite side so that we are stretching both sides of our neck if you choose to take that version. Okay, so I'm going to take the version with my forehead, just my forehead on my folded blanket there. And start to bring your attention to the back of your hips there now. Maybe even just gently rock your pelvis back a little bit and forward over this blanket until you find a lovely position where you can feel that release through the front and the back of the pelvis, well, mainly the back of the pelvis there. But there's a lovely pressure though at the front of the pelvis too. So it's very gentle stretch through the back of the glutes. If you're feeling this too intensely anywhere, say for example, if it's come too much to intensity into the lower lumbar, so your lower spine, your blanket might be rolled a little bit too firmly. So if you're feeling it too intensely anywhere, just come back up and unroll your blanket one roll and then come back onto it. Where you want to feel it is a lovely pressure at the front of the hips there, and then just a gentle opening on the back of the hips, but not at the expense of the lower spine. As we hold this pose, maybe start to feel the muscles beginning to melt around the back of the pelvis there. Maybe even mentally compare the sensations that you felt throughout the practice in the back of the hips and the glutes to what they're feeling now. Sometimes some of the poses can be quite subtle, but if you can kind of remember what intensity feels like, you certainly feel the comparison and more readily see the relaxation. Remembering to use your breath as your anchor. Anytime the thoughts start to bubble up, just coming back to your breath. It's not necessarily that you're kind of just really roughly trying to suppress the conversations. You're just gently trying to let them float past you without engaging with them. Kind of similar to how you approach your meditation mind. We use our breath to anchor us back into the present moment, because the breath is the present moment. There's no sensation of past breath or future breath. It's very much our main guide for where we are in the present moment. Just for one or two breaths, we're going to shimmy down our mat so that the blanket roll is on the belly. This can be lovely and it's incredibly good for the digestive system. So this time, the blanket is kind of lying across your belly. So it's just kind of above or on your hip bones there. And then bring the head down again. We're just going to stay here for a few breaths. It's a fantastic pose, particularly to practice at the start today, to get all the organs of the abdominal region stimulated. Let's take 3 restorative, soothing breaths here. In your own time, I won't count them. Taking you deep in your breath, just a fraction. So not to the point where it takes effort. We want no effort in this. Okay, let's get ready to come up into our next pose. So place your hands either side of your chest there. Press into your palms. Lift your chest up, bend the knees, lift the hips, and then pop your blankets out to the side there. So for our next pose, let's unroll that blanket there. we're going to take it into a supine twist. So let's pop one of your blankets, a 4-fold, along the center of your mat there. Smooth it out again, make sure, in fact, I've got the even if you have frills on your blanket, make sure they're down the bottom end of your mat. So there's nothing kind of bothering you under the top end. Okay, so you're going to have one blanket rolled. We need another roll. So actually bring your blanket into a 4-fold there. And then fold it over one more time. So it comes into a rectangle shape. And then we're going to roll that up. So it should be kind of about that wide. So if you have a very thick blanket, you might need to take it, the fold from the longer side. But for me, the shorter side of the rectangle is about the size that we're looking for. You're going to pop that along the left center of your mat there, of your blanket. And then we're going to fold the other blanket. Again, you've got your 4-fold. We're going to fold it over one more time and then fold it over again. So that you end up with kind of a small rectangle shape. And that's going to go between our legs. Have your other blanket close by to you, just to make sure that you have something to pop over if you need it. You're going to come onto your left hip. And this blanket, we want this blanket here, the rolled blanket, to sit kind of in your waist there. So this is going to support our lower back. We're going to come into a supine twist. And then we're going to pop this blanket between our legs. So have that ready for you. So gently guiding yourself down, making sure that the lovely curve of your waist there sits exactly on top of your blanket. You might want to bring yourself slightly more into the middle of your mat there. And then coming down. Now is probably the right time to pop that blanket between the legs there. And then coming down onto your back, you're still kind of on your side. Bring that left arm into cactus position. Bring the right arm into cactus position and then open the arm out into your twist. Now, if you had your other blanket available for you, you might want to pop that spare blanket underneath your right shoulder, if your right shoulder is sitting, is hanging in space there a little bit. Okay, so we have one blanket between our knees. Our rolled blanket is supporting the curve of our spine there, our waist, as we come into this twist, and our chest is opening to the right-hand side. We have the spare blanket underneath that right shoulder if we need it, and our arms are in cactus position. So take a deep restorative breath here. And really feel the magnification of the breath in the right lungs, in the space between the right rib cage. And can you scan down through your body and see, are you gripping or holding anywhere? I know that I'm holding tension in my body if I'm kind of holding my fingers taut. So can your fingertips gently curl? Can you release any tension from your jaw? Can you smooth out the skin across your forehead? Is that right shoulder supported enough? Is it happy? Is that blanket roll exactly right underneath your left waist? Is the blanket that's in between your legs high enough? Or is there too much of a stretch in that top hip? Do you need to adjust? And the thing about restorative, that you adjust as much as you like until you find effortless comfort. Because until you find complete comfort, the magic of the restorative pose finds it a little bit harder to work. Now, of course, there is sensations. I feel a lovely stretch through my right waist there, but they're slightly more passive sensations than an active vinyasa yoga. So ask yourself, are you completely happy here? And if you are happy, everything is settling. Again, coming back to the breath and the sensations of the breath in the right lung there. And travel down with the air all the way to where you feel the breath most. It would probably be the upper right chest there. So follow the path of the breath. Soft tissue, the inside of the nostrils, the back of the throat, down into the right lung and the left lung. Can you feel even a little bit of the breath in the belly? And getting ready now to move to our second side. The lovely thing about twists is you're going to feel the whole thing again on the other side. So the most effortless way to come out of the pose is to bring your right arm up and over to join the left arm. And then press your right arm into the ground just to lift your upper body up. Now, the way I find it most handy is now if you had that blanket under the shoulder, bring it over to the left side of your mat. And really it's just to swap that rolled blanket a little bit over to the left, press your arms behind you and swing your entire legs with the blanket in between them over to the right side of your mat. Begin getting ready to come down. So coming onto your forearm of your right hand, position the blanket in the waist of your right side there. Coming down onto your right side, bringing the arm into cactus position on the right, left cactus position on top of it, and then inhale, open up into your twist, making sure that you have that spare blanket underneath that left shoulder now if you need it. So just to scan through the body, you have a blanket under your left shoulder if it needs it. You have this rolled blanket in the curve of your right waist now. And you have the folded blanket between your legs. And just shifting around your mat until you find the familiar other side of the side that you've just been in. So softening the fingertips, softening your jaw, scanning through the body again, finding little bits of tension. Skin across your forehead, space between the temples. Can you feel the breath now in the left lungs? Space between the ribs. Feel the left skin on the left waist gently being stretched. Fabulous pose for the digestive system, the organs of the body, and the nervous system. Check in with your legs as well. The legs sometimes get forgotten when we're coming into these upper body poses. Are they very comfortable? Is that upper leg hanging a little bit in space, or is it really taking the support of the blanket? Is it really letting the weight of gravity settle it into the prop? Gently coming back to your breath, settling into just a few moments of silence to really absorb your pose. Scanning down, making sure everything is still happy. And what was happy a few minutes ago can sometimes start to not be happy, so adjust, add support. Are you still warm? Are you still linking in with your breath? And it's just getting ready to come out of this pose now. It's always nice to just think about moving. Let the nervous system be warned of the fact that you're going to move before you physically start to move. So, in your own time, just gently rolling the left arm over to on top of the right arm. Press the left hand into the mat, lift yourself up just to a seated position. Gently pop your props out to the side there now. You can leave that blanket underneath you. Let's just take it into Shavasana with the neck roll. I love a neck roll. So just to explain the neck roll again, take your blanket into a 4 roll and just roll one of the short ends up about 2 or 3 times and pop it at the top of your mat there. Now you can take Shavasana any way you want now. This is just a suggestion. Coming down onto your mat, popping the roll just underneath the back of your neck there, so the curve of your cervical spine. You want it to be supporting your spine, but not lifting it. So it's really just nuzzling into to fill the space between your neck and the ground. Lengthen the legs out. Palms can face up or down. If you have one of your spare blankets nearby, even if you're not cold, it's lovely to place a blanket just across your belly there and feel the little signals of safety from the weight pressing on the receptors of your skin. Just taking 1 or 2 minutes in this symmetrical pose to assimilate and absorb all you have offered yourself this morning in self-care. Let's take 3 more deeply restorative breaths, maybe even lengthening your exhale just a fraction. Find the softness in the muscles of your face again, one last time. You're very welcome to stay here if you'd like to continue your Shavasana for a little bit longer. I'm going to close the class out quietly. Or if you're ready to come out and rejoin your day, rolling over to your right hand side with your knees bent. And in your own time, you're your own guide here. Press your left hand into the mat, lift yourself up to a seated position. And just coming to whatever seated position is comfortable for you. Maybe even keeping your blanket on your chest there or your belly. And let's just close the practice with our hands gently on our knees there, lengthening through the spine. Taking one gentle long inhale and a replenishing grounding exhale. Namaste. And thank you for practicing with me. If you have any questions, always happy to help. You can contact me at ruth@yogaroo.ie. See you again next week.